What can readers learn from your characters?
In Desert Medicine, as I said, Laurel's going through a divorce. And I think that others who are going through either a divorce or other sense of loss will be inspired by her journey. She makes a lot of mistakes. Her life doesn't get better initially. In fact, it gets worse. She's admirable in a lot of ways because she refuses to feel sorry for herself. She immerses herself in work. She takes her twins with her wherever she goes. But what a lot of people fail to realize when they're going through something like this, and what she fails to realize, is that she needs a community, and she needs to accept divine help.
Judy, are you in the book?
I've heard other writers answer this question before, and maybe it sounds a little trite, but to be a good writer, you have to be in every one of your characters. Writing is like being an actor, that if you don't put yourself into every character, then that character does not come alive. So I hope that I've succeeded in being in every one of the characters. The character that I most identify with is the younger woman, Laurel, who has a similar journey to the one that I did. I, too, was a young mother. I, too, unexpectedly went through a divorce. Fortunately, in my case, I did not have twins. I only had one son. But I had the same emotions that she had, where I wanted to deny what was going on. I wanted to just keep working and hope that I could put it behind me. But life kept throwing me more and more difficulties, and I had a mortgage like she does, and I allowed people into my life that I probably shouldn't have allowed into my life at that time. So that's the character I most identify with.
All of Rhoda's stories must have come from several different sources. Your listening and observing skills are very sharp. How did you hone those skills? How did you compile the stories?
Thank you, Sandy. That's really flattering. I'm really interested in people's life stories, and I think that they sense that, and so they tell me their life stories. And I interviewed a lot of people for this book, probably about 20. They ranged from a man who was raising pigeons to a woman who was in the Navy during World War II. And I always ask people if I can use my tape recorder, and a lot of times they're very gracious about that. That really helps me get down the details that make a novel come alive. I'll be reading a couple of pages from Rhoda's point of view. This is Chapter 3 of Desert Medicine. It's a good life if you don't weaken. I didn't always hate Papa. In the early years, I loved to help him. In the daytime, he was a farmer and rancher, beef, cattle, and corn mainly, but he was never much good at it. What kept us alive was what he did at night. We lived in the Texas Panhandle, in Deaf Smith County, a dry county. Just 10 miles away was Amarillo, in Potter County, what was wet. The revenuers kept a tight watch on cars going between the two. That's how Papa made extra money. He ran liquor from one county to the next. He couldn't drive with his headlights on, because then the revenuers would come after him. So I stood on the running board, no older than 9 or 10, and if I went up high on my tiptoes, I could lean across the fender and grab hold of the headlight. I had good eyes. I'd yell back to Papa, right or left, so he'd stay on the road. Sometimes we'd hit a rock, and I'd bounce out, but I held on tight to that headlight. And even better, Papa had his left hand out the window, hanging onto the back of my overalls. I could feel the heat from the motor and smell the engine oil. The night air was cool on my back, but my stomach and chest was warm from leaning on the car. With Papa's hand on my back and me guiding him with my calls, I felt like a good daughter, leading her blind father. Sometimes I'd catch sight of a possum or a coyote on the road. In midsummer, lightning bugs parted like a fluorescent sea as we drove by. Even when the calves of my legs got tight and ached from standing up on my toes so long, I never wanted the trip to end. One night I seen headlights coming from the other direction. "Stop," I says. The car stopped. Papa leaned his head out the window to see. "Might be a revenuer. Hop in." "I can guide you, Papa. The ditch isn't bad here. Drive into the field." "Hang on, girl." I held on tight as the car dipped down and then up as it crossed the ditch, then bounced across a field of dried corn stalks. Something flies up suddenly out of the field. It's an owl, its wings spread, its claws around a mouse. It swerves to avoid us, but one wing catches me across the face. The car comes to a stop, and Papa turns off the engine. I jump down and look up in the sky to see that owl flying away. Then, now this is the magic part, I seen everything from that owl's eyes up high. I seen our Model A car hidden in the dried corn stalks where the revenuer drives by blind to us. I touched my cheek where the owl wing brushed me.
Judy, your readers want to know that you are working on another novel.
Yes, I am. It's called A Stable Woman, and the main character probably isn't a stable woman. She's a free-spirited teacher, and she has taken one ministry a little too far, and she's married a man in prison, which has caused an estrangement between her teenage son and herself. And as her life starts to crumble, she runs off to rural southwest Nebraska. If you'd like to find out more about desert medicine or about myself, you can visit judyalexander.com.